Good day, everyone. We are here to present our study entitled Relationship between Civil Engineering Students, Concentration, and Their Exposure to Blue Light Radiation. This research was conducted by our group from CE-302 at Holy Angel University as civil engineering students ourselves. We are very familiar with the struggles of balancing academics with the increasing use of gadgets, especially after the pandemic. So here are the researchers. So we have Janiel Bautista, Arian Gaya, Iron Jane Panaligan, Kurt Clarence Pineda, and Kellen Ryan Samyas. So let's proceed with our introduction. So for our introduction, the COVID-19 pandemic shifted education online, increasing students' screen time. Civil engineering student at Holy Angel University face prolonged exposure to blue light, which disrupts sleep, focus, and health. The study explores the link between blue light exposure and students' concentration, behaviors, and possible interventions. So when the COVID-19 pandemic began, education quickly shifted to online platforms. Students who were used to traditional classrooms suddenly face hours of online lectures, recorded videos, and assignments submitted digitally. These lead to a big increase in screen time, often lasting more than 8 to 10 hours per day. So, what many don't realize is that extended gadget use also means longer exposure to blue light radiation. Well, blue light comes from phones, laptops, tablets, and even indoor lighting. And while natural blue light from the sun helps regulate our body clock during the day, and excessive artificial blue light, especially at night, can disrupt sleep, cause eye strain, and reduce focus. This is the context that inspired our study. We wanted to understand whether civil engineering students' concentration levels are really affected by the exposure to blue light radiation.
Based on previous studies, the learning environment has a strong impact on student performance. For example, factors such as lighting, noise, and workspace setup influence motivation and focus. During the pandemic, online classes exposed students to longer hours in front of screens. A study in the US showed that students spend nearly 8 hours on gadgets for self-study and another 3 hours for online classes daily. That's more than 11 hours per day in front of screens. This excessive exposure leads to eye strain, headaches, difficulty of sleeping, and poor focus. Next slide, please. Then, blue light in particular has been linked to the suppression of melatonin, the hormone responsible for regulating sleep. Without proper rest, students often feel tired, distracted, and less productive the next day. In the Philippines, there is limited research focusing specifically on blue light exposure among students, which makes our study unique and relevant. Then for our conceptual framework, it is based on the input process output model, where the input is the student's exposure to the blue light radiation from their gadgets and environment. And then our process is the collection of data using surveys, followed by statistical analysis using Pearson's correlation. And then for our output is the relationship between blue light exposure and the student's ability to focus or concentrate. And then by structuring our research this way, we can clearly see how behaviors such as late night gadget use, screen brightness, and study habits influence concentration. The correlation test will help us determine if the relationship is significant.
Our study aimed to answer four main questions. 1. What are the behaviors of students that contribute to prolonged exposure to blue light radiation? 2. How does this exposure affect their concentration levels? 3. What interventions can students use to lessen the negative effects? Fourth and most importantly, is there a significant correlation between exposure to blue light and concentration? By answering these questions, we can connect everyday student habits to real academic performance outcomes. Hypothesis. To test this, we had two hypotheses. The null hypothesis: there is no significant relationship between blue light exposure and concentration. The alternative hypothesis: there is a significant relationship between blue light exposure and concentration. This framework ensures that our study is objective and that our findings can either confirm or reject the relationship. Next slide. Scope and significance. Our study focuses only on civil engineering students of Holy Angel University for the school year 2025 to 2026. While our scope is limited, it is highly relevant because CE students spend long hours studying technical subjects that require focus. The significance of this study is wide. For students, it raises awareness about how gadget use affects their health and focus. For school administrators, it, it can guide decisions on how to improve learning conditions. For national government, it highlights an overlooked issue of light pollution and health policy. And for future researchers, it provides baseline data for more extensive studies.
For our methodology, we used a survey research design. This allows us to gather information efficiently from a large group of students. The total population of civil engineering students in Holy Angel University is 1,025. Using Calmorin's formula, we selected 60 respondents through simple random sampling. This ensured that every student had an equal chance of being chosen. Our survey questionnaire included 4 sections. First, behaviors that contribute to blue light exposure. Second, effects of exposure on concentration. Third, possible interventions. And lastly, screen time and concentration levels. Next slide. The survey was distributed online via Google Forms. Respondents were given 3 days to answer, and it took about 10 minutes to complete. For data analysis, we used several tools: percentage and frequency distribution to summarize behaviors and responses, weighted mean to measure average levels of concentration. Lastly, Pearson's correlation coefficient to check if exposure and concentration have a significant relationship. We also use bar graphs and scatter plots to present results in a clear and visual way. This combination of methods give us reliable and valid data to answer our research questions.
For ethical consideration, as researchers, we followed ethical guidelines strictly. First, participation will be voluntarily, and respondents will sign the consent form before answering the survey. Second, their privacy and confidentiality will be respected. No personal identifying details will be required. Lastly, we are committed to honesty and integrity by analyzing data objectively and avoiding any form of bias or misinterpretation. This ethical standard will ensure the credibility of our study. Next. For our conclusion, our study seeks to determine whether exposure to blue light significantly affects the concentration of civil engineering students. Although exposure to blue light cannot be completely avoided in modern education, understanding its effect is the first step towards creating solution. By knowing the correlation, we can recommend interventions such as adjusting brightness and following the 20-20-20 rule, limiting gadgets use before bed, or using protective tools like anti-radiation glasses. Our expected outcome is also to raise awareness and encourage both students and institutions to take preventive measure for better academic performance and overall health. So with that, thank you for listening to our presentation, and we hope our study highlights the importance of balancing technology use with health and concentration. Thank you.